Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from MaliciousCompliance. Story 1 is by Affectionate Fact 109. Want me to quit arguing with your orders because you know better? Fine. So I work at a print shop and my boss is a huge control freak and also know-it-all. She got tired of me questioning her orders one day and told me I was no longer allowed to question what she tells me and to just shut up and do what I'm told. A couple hours later comes an invitation from the nonprofit group that she's a member of. And in the customer's email, the location of the event was spelled correctly. But she thought it was wrong, and rather than Googling it, she made me change it to what she thought it was supposed to be. So with having been told to shut up and do what I was told, I did, and we printed 150 invitations with the wrong event venue name on them, and delivered them to the organization. The organization that she was a part of. Next day they call upset because she sent me the correct information and got cards with the wrong info. Boss lady asked me what happened and I simply said, "You told me to change it, so I didn't question it and did what you told me." And the funny thing is, she was donating the print job, so now it cost her twice as much. Malicious compliance stories are definitely my favorite. I don't know a lot of people that like working, and I know even less that really like their boss. So I like to see bosses that kind of get effed over in a way, like in this situation. Our next story is by Valpo1996. We need that in letter form. My company gets a payoff request from a title company. One of our clients has a $1,500 lien on a piece of property. The owner of the property, who also owes the $1,500, is trying to sell. So the title company emails me asking for the payoff amount and other info. I respond to the email answering all their questions. I get an email back saying they need the information in letter form. I asked if they're serious. They say yes. They say they also need it immediately because closing is scheduled Monday. This is a Friday. So I print the email chain and write a letter that says, "Enclosed, please find email chain with the information requested." I dutifully put it in a properly addressed envelope and toss it into outgoing mail. Sadly, that was after the mail cutoff, so it was not going out until Monday. Monday, I get an email from the title company where their payoff info is. I explain the above. They ask if I can email it to them. Nope, I did that already. Not my fault that it wasn't good enough for you. Guess you won't close for another 5 days or so. Then a call from the guy's attorney asking me where the payoff is. I explain the above to him and remind him that he was copied on the emails in question. He called the title company and blew them out of the water. We got our $1,500 the day by personal courier. It was a 2-hour one-way drive for the courier. It's such a waste of paper to have to do that. If it's electronic and it's in front of everybody, that's enough information right there. That's all the details you need. You do not need it with a proper address and a letterhead and a sincerely and dear sir, madam, and all that crap. That's so outdated. My guess is the boss of the title company was a dinosaur. Our next story is by Not J17. No scheduled raise? I'll only do entry-level duties. I'm a 19 female and work part-time at a restaurant. I was brought on when I was 16 as a hostess and got to wait tables and bartend at 18. I really love it. I've made friends with many of my colleagues. It's close to school and my boss is really flexible. I was scheduled to get a raise last week. I don't make a waitress wage and don't receive those tips. But the minimum wage in my state got raised and my boss said that I don't need a raise anymore because of it. I'm one of the oldest employees. I'm trained in every post and I do what I'm asked because I respect my higher-ups and I'm in a good mood when I'm at work. So now that I'm barely making more than new hire hostesses, I'm only doing hostess duties. I've had way more time to study when it's slow and I come home with more energy to socialize and get things done. It's been great. It took a while for my boss to notice the difference in my lack of presence made, and when he confronted me, I told him what I said above and that there really wasn't anything he could do about it unless I got my scheduled raise. I know there's no negotiating being paid a waitress wage, but maybe now I'll get my raise since it's costing him to fill what were my positions. Heck yeah, OP. That's the best way to do it. Down in the comments, somebody shared some information that I have been very familiar with lately by Neo Fanks. You're going to get people mad at you, telling you that you should go above and beyond to prove you deserve the wage. But many of us have done that for years without any raises actually happening, since the boss in those cases don't have a reason to pay more for extra labor they're already getting. Some have called it quiet quitting over the last couple years. I call it acting my wage. Darn straight, these are two different phrases that I have come to love lately. Because so many workers are just getting ripped off completely. They can't afford to live at all. They can't afford to pay rent, get food, have basic amenities and everything that you need in life. They aren't paid enough. They aren't paid a living wage. And then bosses are just shocked when nobody wants to work anymore. Well, there's a good reason for that. Wages have to go up. Find a way, because people can't survive on what they're making right now. And you know what happens to societies when people can't make it anymore and can't survive? Crime goes up, mental instability goes up. They'd better fix it. Our last story today is by Kai2 Starlight. Want the files in a USB? Okay. First post here, so apologies for any mistakes. This is not my story, but rather a relative's. She's a teacher and it was the end of the semester, so she had to turn in some reports to her head of department. For some reason, the head of department guy, let's call him H, wanted the reports to be turned in by submitting a USB to his desk. Security reasons, he said. Well, she used a MacBook for work and it doesn't have any USB ports, so it's really inconvenient for her to transfer files via USB. Still, H insisted her to bring a USB containing the relevant files and reports to his office. So, she brought her MacBook and a USB to his office. She showed him the lack of USB port on her device. It would be easier if I could just email you the file since I cannot plug a USB into my laptop, she told him. Yet H still insisted. Sending files via email isn't secure enough. Can't you find a way to get your files onto the USB? Cue malicious compliance. Okay, let me borrow your computer, H. He lent her his device, which has USB ports. She emailed the file to him, downloaded the file to his device, plugged in her USB, and then put the files on her USB. Here's your USB with the report, sir, she said after working silently for a while. Why try to explain when he refused to listen and you can just prove the point with action, right? H got the USB, plugged it into his computer, and then realized what she borrowed his computer for. You might as well just send me the file. Why go through this loop? He asked her, to which she replied, perfectly serious. You told me to get the reports into the USB, so I did. Anyway, after that incident, another teacher, who had a similar name to my relatives and H kept mixing up the two teachers, submitted her reports, and the poor lady got an earful on how to properly use an USB to transfer files, blah blah. H was salty but couldn't say anything because, well, she was just following his instructions. Sounds to me like this school could use a Dropbox function, or everybody to have some sort of access to a shared Google Drive where you can only submit things and not remove them. This guy also seems like a bit of a dinosaur because although USBs were really popular for many years, they're kinda dying off as old technology too. And honestly, having a USB stick is not a whole lot more secure than just emailing them to somebody. What if they drop that USB? It's a pretty small thing. There's a reason some of them are called thumb drives. They're about the size of your thumb. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have a brainy day.